Welcome to another episode of Repair Shop Wrecking. The race is zero. Today we have Donovan from Cypress Ridge Automotive on the horn with us. And Donovan's an ex-dealer tech who decided to build a barn in his backyard or a building in his backyard and start an auto repair, truck repair shop. And take it away, Donovan. Let's hear what you have to say. Let's start out with your story and everything.
Alrighty. Well, I started with Ford back in 2012, give or take. And, I spent a career there, made it up to shop foreman and almost service manager. That door kind of got closed. And that's when I decided to go out on my own, built the shop. And here we are. Have been rolling hard ever since.
So let's talk about your shop, how you set it up, what kind of work you do, all your struggles starting a shop. Because when you're a technician and you're like, I got this shit, I'll go ahead and start a business. How hard can it be, right?
Oh, absolutely. Now, that's been the fun part, honestly, because I enjoy learning new things and how to do things. So before I ever ended up leaving the dealership, I was taking courses independently for how to run a business to get better at that side of it before I jumped in with both feet, because I knew it was going to be different. And I've heard from, other technicians turned shop owners over and over, you could be the best technician in the world, but being a business owner is its own beast. So I took steps to start learning that side of it before jumping out, and it paid off. It did. I spent some money on some plane tickets and courses, and I'm glad I did. That was a very good investment. Have made my money back on that 10 times over so far. The hardest part about starting from zero is going from, just doing side work, if you will, to now I need a full-time client base. The first month was really, really slow, but after that, word got around. We're in a small town. Social media has been a big help, and it's been kicking right along. I can't keep up.
Can you remember your first month and when you're sitting there asking yourself, what the hell did I do several times? Do you
Just
remember
once or
them days?
twice. I still have them sometimes, like
Yeah, don't we
pulling
all?
my hair out, what little bit's there.
Yeah. There's a lot of guys that, want to give shop advice out there that are technicians that never opened a shop, but, maybe they took a few classes and stuff like that. And the one part they're all missing is the emotional part. Okay, I have to feed my family. I have to pay my bills. I have obligations and I have no work or no customers. And, guys with bigger shops, it's slow this week. I don't really have a savings account. How am I going to pay my people? I mean, that's all emotional stuff that guys don't take into consideration that don't own businesses. Because as well as I do, when you're having a great month and you have more work than you know what to do with, you're like, man, I'm the baddest ass business owner there is, man. I got this shit licked, right? Then you have a bad month and you're like, oh my God, gloom and doom. What have I done? Did
Right.
I charge too much? All my customers are gone. And it's pretty interesting how emotional roller coaster plays as a business owner.
Oh,
I'd like to
absolutely.
talk a little about that with you.
Yeah, no, and that's one of the things I think I posted on TikTok about before is like, one day you're on top of the world, the bank account is fat, the appointments, so you can't take any more in, and then the next day you get a gut punch from out of left field, and it's like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to use bad language on here.
No, this is not a PG podcast.
Okay, good, then we're fine.
Yeah. It's
Well,
not rated.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
So you do a lot of diesel work. I noticed I was looking at some of your TikToks. You do a lot of power stroke stuff, I see.
Yes, sir, a lot of them, and I kind of had the name for that in this area beforehand, so it helped out a lot.
So I bet you love the 6 liter, huh?
The 6 liter, the 6.4, that's my bread and butter.
Yeah, them. Us too. My kids' college got paid for by 6.0s. And I was, oh my God, they're all starting to blow up and go away. Here comes the 6.4.
Well, the problem with
Only
the
worse.
6.0s now is there's only two kinds of people that own them, and that is either ones that own them for businesses that are running them on fumes and don't want to fix anything short of making it run, and then you have the people that bought them brand new and maintain them to a T because they're so scared of them breaking.
Yeah.
At
And
least
I
that's what I
always
see
like
around here.
I always like the term bulletproof. I don't think my camera's out of focus. Does it look like it?
I think it's trying to focus on your water bottle more than you.
Let me see.
Oh, that looks better.
Yeah, that's better. Yeah, you're right. The whole the 6 liter stuff. And I always get these guys that can you bulletproof my 6.0? I could put a bullet in your 6.0. I don't know about
That's
bulletproof,
right.
like, we could head stud it and stuff like that and help it a little bit, but there ain't really much. I mean, they run. I mean, I've seen a couple of them go over the years. I had one customer, he got 300,000 without even cracking anything on it. That was
Right.
kind of amazing.
Yeah, and
Then I
some
seen
of
other
them,
guys,
it's like the lottery.
they really were. Do you remember, you probably worked at the Ford dealership when, high pressure oil pumps were going out on them, and that was right after they got over the transmission washer that was going bad, and all these guys started to plow, and they're brand new, and they're losing their
Yeah,
reverse. Remember that?
I do, and thankfully, those trucks were just coming out of warranty when I came into the dealer side, but the 6.4 was still well under warranty then. So that was kind of my first forays into it. My very first dealership, my first diesel job ever. The shop foreman and I, we were kind of oil and water, if you will. Just some smart ass teenager coming in, thought he knew everything under the sun. I didn't know shit, but he gave me a ambulance, a 6 liter ambulance to do head gaskets on. Taught my ass real quick.
Yeah. I remember people would ask me, "Why did they put a twin turbo on the 6.4?" I said, "Well, they needed somewhere for the first turbo's parts to go." So
Exactly right. Keep it out of the cylinder. Catch it in number
it'll go
two.
right to the other turbo. And I remember the PCO injectors when they came out. I remember I was still a tech then, and we would go to the class and talk about the crystal vibration and dump the fuel in. I'm like, "Oh my god."
Yes, sir. A whole different ball game. Went from
Yeah.
Huey's.
Yeah, and then back, it's
Yeah,
a weird thing, and, we get a lot of, I don't know about you, we get a lot of 6.7s these guys buy out of, Texas and all that, and they're all deleted and stuff, and they come in with a problem, and we're like, "What do you want us to do? We don't know the programming. You gotta
right.
did you get something with it?" We had it lately, we had a guy bought one out of Texas, spent all this money, had a trans problem. Well, IDS2 wouldn't talk to it, nothing would talk to it, and it would give us bad codes. We're like, "Dude, you're gonna have to put this thing back to normal before we can diagnose it," and I don't know what to tell you. That was a bad deal.
And the modern transmissions are so good at adaptive learning and, kind of hiding the issues they have with factory programming on them. A lot of times those aftermarket tunes just make it 10 times harder. And you can't tell, am I having shitty shifts because of a bad tune or am I having shitty shifts because we have a problem? And that's something
Yeah.
that's just a headache to work through, but part of it.
Yeah, as a shop owner, when you're do you have IDS2 and all that for the
Yeah,
Fords?
I have IDS and FDRS.
Yeah, that FDRS, boy, that's a little bit of a learning curve, isn't it?
Pain in the ass. Has been
Oh,
since day one.
yeah, because I mean, we came from, the IDS1, then they went to 2, which really didn't change much. I mean, they went
Mm-mm.
wireless and all that stuff, a few things. Then here comes, FDRS, and I'm like, "Oh my god," you're looking at it, you're going, "Here we go again," you know? And,
Yep.
all the other, Diamond Logic and Detroit Diesel and all that stuff we use is just, like, such a learning curve now, it's crazy.
It is, and every manufacturer is going in a different direction. Used to protocols were similar at least, but now everything is just going cloud-based and yeah, it's making it a pain on the independent side.
Yeah, I remember we were talking about the other day. We had Master Tech was one of our my main scan tools when I was out there wrenching, and I was one of the first guys in my area to do pass through programming. Remember, you'd plug the PC into the Master Tech and the Master Tech into the van, and we were doing the new G vans because they were killing computers left and right because they put the washer solvent bottle right above the PCM, so guys would overflow the computer up, and we had a fleet that ran these vans 12 hours or 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So these vans were out of warranty in 2 months,
Oh man, yeah,
and
it
they were
doesn't
breaking
take long like that.
right, they were breaking reverse input shaft or input shells, all kinds of shit, and nobody had any data on it, and we had this huge fleet, so we had to learn all this stuff. It was crazy, but it was a lot easier, I think, back then to deal with that type of stuff because you didn't have so much other garbage now plugged in.
Right, and you can. It used to be, like, I look at vehicles in eras, like, as far as difficulty to diagnose and repair. I think, like, 2010 to 2020 was probably, for me anyways, the easiest. Yes, I learned on them, but everything was computer controlled. You could look at everything via scan tool, watching PIDs, versus prior to that, it was kind of the infancy of the CAN networks and the data that you could glean by way of software was limited. So it was a really big mix of, do we measure with mechanical gauges here? Are we going to measure with scan tool? And I think that the 2010 to 2020 era was perfect for that. But then after 2020, now you want to measure fuel pressure. Good luck finding a place to do it.
Yeah, you're right, and I started in the business in, 1990, so I was working on '80s cars, which had hybrid carburetors, all kinds of different shit going on. Then we kinda morphed into the fuel injection era, so I was using ADL stuff on the GMs. I was doing EQ1, EQ2, EQ3 back then where you couldn't even get the thing to talk, and it would give you 1 code at a time. But back then, it almost seemed like I remember using an Allen scope every day, an ignition scope. I would hook a scope up every day and look at ignition systems. Oh, got a bad distributor cap. Switch the distributor cap out, fix it. You know, I remember when fuel injection came out in distributorless ignition. I thought, oh my God, this is the freaking future. This is great. It was so much easier to
Right.
diagnose. Then you had to learn about the GM waste spark systems. You're like, oh my, it just never ending. But it's kind of cool to take a walk down memory road and memory lane. 80s and 90s. Here you come, you're into 2000. You thought that was easy. You
Yeah.
know, and nowadays it's like holy 27 computers on one freaking vehicle.
Yeah,
They
but
have to shake hands with each other for an hour.
exactly, and do not hand me anything with a carburetor because I will look like a monkey fucking a football. Like, I openly and proudly admit that. It's
It's
just
funny.
something I've never needed to learn. My lawnmower has a carburetor, everything else I own runs on diesels.
It's funny you say that because I don't know, about 6 months ago, a guy brought his motorhome and had a quadrojet in it. My guys called me. They're like, "Hey, when you coming down here?" I'm like, "I'll be there Monday. Why? We got a surprise for you." I'm like, "What's the surprise?" They sent me a picture of that. They're like, "Mike Foster wants you to rebuild his carburetor. Nobody around will do it, and he knows you did it because you did one for his dad 25 years." So I took the carburetor off of the truck and I took it home and I pulled out all my quadrojet tools and rebuilt it and stuff like that. I'm not gonna lie to you, it was fun.
A
You
little
know what I mean? I'm like, yeah,
therapeutic.
yeah, I'm a badass. I can rebuild a carburetor,
That's right.
and the other thing is steering columns. We don't repair steering columns unless the Ford shift tubes and stuff. And I did a lot of steering columns back in the day, and I'm sure there's jobs you did that you just loved. Oh,
Oh,
you were in
yeah,
the Ford dealership, so shift tubes and shift bushings.
a lot of them.
Love them, right? Couple hours to do the shift tube because they get in it and pull it and bend the shift tube and all that. We loved them too.
Yeah, my favorite's when the shift airlock would go bad in it and they'd just hammer down past it anyways. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I'll take that. Thank you. Another lick on the mortgage payment.
Yeah. So let's talk about 6.7s. Let's talk about all about 6.7s with you because I know we do a lot of drilling on them, exhaust bolts and stuff like that.
Oh, I'm not drilling on one. I think I can't remember what channel it was, but somebody on TikTok had posted how they used a 1-inch MPT threaded or yeah, pipe thread plug and tap to drill out the hole for the EGR block off if, you're doing that type of work, which that tube of death, the one with the two titanium bolts that always break, there
Yep.
is no repair under the sun on a 6.7 that requires that tube to come off short of deleting it, to just put it bluntly. You can get the EGR valve off, even though book says you can't. You can. I do not touch those two bolts. The only time I ever have is when that pipe is going in the trash.
Yeah, we've had a couple come in with them actually broken, believe it or not, and they make a kit. I don't remember the name of the kit.
Chromac.
Yeah, they're the ones that did the exhaust manifold stuff, and they actually made the kit, and we use them. The only thing is you have to use a new drill bits every time, and it gets
That's
expensive.
that's the bad thing about it, and it takes
Y
forever.
Yeah, yeah, it really does. That was one of their brighter ideas, wasn't it? Let's go ahead and use titanium bolts there.
Yeah. Can't weld to them, can't do anything. Now, what I have that works really, really well is actually a bit that goes in an air hammer with a socket drive end on the end of it, and then it's got a hex flange so you can turn it with a wrench while you're using the air hammer on it. That works phenomenal on those. Now, I've had one in recent memory break while using it, but other than that, that has caused me the least amount of headache with those bolts, is using the air hammer.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about because I got one of them a while ago for exhaust manifold bolts too.
Yep, the
They
same
work good.
exact thing. They're freaking phenomenal. After
Yeah,
so long of tools being produced, it's amazing how something so stupid can come along out of nowhere and make such a big difference.
yeah, you're absolutely right. So do you work by yourself all day, or do you have, somebody that helps you?
So I have a part-time helper who is actually going full-time on Monday, so I'm looking forward to that.
So you're gonna double your output of your shop, basically?
I'm not gonna say I'm gonna double it necessarily. decent, but he's not somebody I have to watch over. He's decent enough on his own. Like I don't have to breathe over his neck. He knows what I expect out of the work quality, but also, he can't diagnose anything under the sun either. So I expect probably 50 to 60% uptick in production.
Well, that's good. How many cars are you guys doing a month? Or
So
trucks are you
my
guys doing a
car
month?
count really isn't that high, but my ARO kind of makes up for that because right now I'm running a $4,300 ARO, and the average car count over the last 3 months, I'll say, has probably been about 26, somewhere in that neighborhood. Like we've been doing really well, at least for the size of the operation.
Well, one thing I don't know if I talked about this much, but one thing that's going on in our industry, our car count has gone down every year, but our average repair order has gone up every year. And what that tells me, our cycles are slower, right? The jobs are taking longer, the jobs are more expensive. So I think that naturally, I think our car counts are going to go down. And I think another thing that's happened is a lot of shops, probably you, we give everything a look over and we tell the customer, hey, this is everything the vehicle needs. It's up to you what you want us to do. We give them the choice. And 9 times out of 10, we're fleet customers. They're like, do it all.
Yep.
So that kind of slows down. You get a 60-hour job, the guy's booked for, the whole week.
Right. And we've ran into that too. And honestly, some like fuel systems out here, it's a lot of agriculture. A lot of guys fill their tanks up, their tractors and trucks out of the same tank sitting on a trailer that they have been using for 20 years. And there's that much water in the bottom of it. And they get it low and fill a power stroke up with that fuel, and boom goes the fuel system. Like I have been putting those in kind of left and right, and those honestly is overall are my favorite jobs to do just because of number one, I can basically do those with my eyes closed, and number two, they pay quite well. And I would much rather do one truck at, $12,000 than five trucks at $12,000.
It's kind of funny. It's really fucked up, but Ford has a disaster kit for them. You call up, go, yeah, I need a disaster kit. They send you everything you need
Yep. Yep. Yep.
to do a fuel system. It's
Now,
like,
one of
wow,
the, go ahead.
no, yeah,
Oh,
it's
I was going to
crazy.
say, it is crazy to me they have that freaking contamination kit because I know, I mean, it is what it is, but Bosch has, Ford by the balls, basically. They make their scan tool equipment, they make half of their freaking parts. Like Chevrolet and Ram were able to get away from the CP4 when they used them for their brief periods. Bosch has such a tight grip on Ford that I don't think Ford can get away from them. If they could, I think they would get away from that pump, but I think their hands are tied. And the great thing for me, anyways, now is I can offer the same warranty and get the parts at a lesser cost from Bosch directly instead of from a Ford dealership. And it is literally the exact same injectors, rails, everything.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like we had no problems with the CP3s, obviously, and the Duramaxes,
Nope,
and
great.
we had no problem. Now we have no problems with the Nip and Denzo's high pressure pumps on the Duramaxes. None.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah.
only problem we have with the Duramaxes, and they seem to have fixed it now with the L5Ps, are the glow
Freaking
plugs.
injector pigtails and glow plugs.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Remember the 19s, 20s? Oh my God, you'd pop misfires all the time. You might as well keep a plug in the
Oh,
glove box as a buck connector.
yeah, exactly. Those things
But
all the
but
time.
that with that being said though, like that's a pretty small problem to have the glow plugs and a injector plug when these power strokes are freaking blowing up and welcome to the disco party.
Yep,
But
absolutely.
it's like we had a couple of the older, what was it, like the 17s with the CP4 Duramaxes come in, you know,
Mm-hmm.
blown up. Guys are, on their way up camping. I had one guy from South Dakota. He blew up and we were doing it. We got done with the whole job and he calls us the next day. He's in Ohio going uphill. He's smelling diesel fuel. And one of the rails was actually not welded correctly from GM. We had to fricking take the
Damn.
whole rail apart. It's all one time use bullshit and do it all. It was another 8 hours to do that job because they didn't weld it at the factory.
Yeah, and speaking of one-time use, I do want to touch on that a little bit with you because I'm kind of curious on how y'all handle that. But it's not, you know, only GM that's had that. I've done one and had the fuel rail pressure, the internals blow out of it that comes installed on the brand new rail from factory. So its parts quality is garbage compared to even 5 years ago now. It's a nightmare. But with the one-time use hardware, so like the Ford service manual, being a Ford dealer tech, you click a little shopping cart button and it populates every one-time use bolt, gasket, everything you need for that repair. In the aftermarket, read through the thing. Is it one-time use? Is it one-time use? Is that how y'all are doing it for one-time use hardware, or is it only select one-time use hardware y'all make sure to replace with every job?
We actually built an AI GPT for that. I have it go out on a lot of these jobs. A lot of these jobs we've done so much, and I'm friends with a lot of the dealers around us, so I just go get the dealer stuff. But now we use the GPT to go out there and find that stuff.
Nice. I
So
like
we
it.
do not have that problem. And I had that problem. We did a what was it, a transit, and when they first came out, yeah, when they first came out, and we didn't replace the bolts, and I did the job. I didn't replace the bolts. I'm thinking standard brake job, right? Next day it came back making a racket. I'm like, huh, I didn't tighten them bolts. So I just happened to go and look the repair manual and stuff to see what the torque was. I'm like, I know I torqued them, but whatever. And they're like one time use bolts. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Every one of Ford's caliper bracket bolts now are one-time use. It's like, I mean, keep those on the shelf. Add something else to keep in inventory.
Yeah, right, exactly. And it's a lot of these guys that can't afford the equipment or these shop programs or stuff like that. This is going to get kind of get dangerous,
Yeah,
and
no
that's where
doubt.
billing your knowing your profit, knowing how to bill a job comes in, really handy. So you can afford to have the information systems, and I don't know. I think Brandon Sloan was saying something about IDS gonna not really give you a subscription anymore. I just upped mine, so I must have just hit the deadline. Have you heard
Yeah.
anything about that?
So what Ford is doing with IDS and FDRS, they are moving away from the license-based software. So you had to put the license key in on the laptop before. They're going to be going away from that and moving to a subscription base. So it's kind of like GM's tech line or whatever the hell they call it, where you just go on, you could pay for 3 days, a week, or whatever. And then it's just going to be cloud-based authentication for access versus a license key on one laptop. And the benefit for dealers, at least, what that's going to allow is you can log in on more than one laptop. So each license isn't on one dedicated computer. On the independent side, I don't think that's necessarily as big of a thing or problem, but the same benefit still applies. If you just have a Ford login, I don't know what the name of the program is yet, but you can just log in on however many shop computers you have. I think it allows up to 5 logins per subscription. And I think
Oh,
it'll be
that'd be good.
monthly, weekly, and annual, but I don't know for certain on the subscription basis yet.
That'll be pretty cool. I know they have a pretty badass mobile app that comes with a Bluetooth dongle because my brother works for Ford. He's a service advisor, and he says that he's got one right on his phone. It works really well.
hmm So that is the VCM Lite, and when it first came out, it was dog shit. Like it was a $400 code reader that did not work on anything that was made prior to like 2013. They've improved it and improved it. Now you can program keys with it. You can do a couple of little tidbits with it. Now on the independent side, unless I haven't figured out how to do keys with the VCM Lite yet, but it doesn't have anywhere to authenticate NASTF info yet. So I don't know if that's only for dealers. As it is, you can monitor data and you can pull and clear codes basically with a couple other like regen functions and stuff like that.
It's so crazy how behind in technology the big three are. Let me give you an example. You've heard me say I have Teslas, right? I bought a Cybertruck.
Mm-hmm.
I have diesel trucks too, and my friend had electric truck. I'm like, fuck it, I'll buy one.
Oh
So
yeah.
I bought one, and it happens to be my favorite vehicle now. So check this out. It's got a 21-inch screen. I go to the dealer the other day because one of the speakers is making a little bit of racket. The guy puts it into service mode, and guess what happened? The screen became the scan tool for the vehicle.
Oh, that's cool.
Holy shit, he was showing me all the things you could check systems, you could run stuff, you could run tests on circuits, like, I was like, "Holy shit." He pulled up the infotainment, it showed all the speakers. He could sit there and tone them and make them tone with slides, right? Imagine every car had the scan tool built into it, and you just had to have the keys to touch it in.
And talk about right to repair.
Yeah, right?
I mean, built in.
Right, and the other thing I thought was really cool, the keys are a credit card or your phone.
Right.
So, the credit card, my son-in-law, my daughter have Teslas, and my son-in-law just put all our keys on his key card. So he just has
Well,
a
there
credit
you
card
go.
as well with all of our keys, or if you wanted to borrow my truck, you have the app, I would just send you a key and you could walk up to the truck and drive my truck with the key on the phone.
The
It's
big
just
three could learn so much.
where I did a podcast with a guy, I don't think I ever launched it, but we talked about GM technology versus Tesla technology, talked about the Hummer. The Hummer had like over, I think it was like 1,200 circuits or 2,500 circuits, and I think the Tesla had 206.
And like, keep it simple, stupid. That old adage is so useful in our industry, but yet it never gets applied on the engineering side. And I've been at some Ford events, for recognition for, stuff I had done with them. And while I was up there in Detroit, it was told to us, and I don't think this was any kind of industry secret at all, but their engineers turn over every few years to keep it fresh, as they say. It's not like they have, one dedicated team that's doing the infotainment system since 2010. Like it's new every few years, and every young hotshot engineer that comes in wants to leave their mark. So, yes, you have innovation that way, but you also have no consistency and no simplicity.
Yeah, the sync system, in my opinion, has been a disaster from the beginning, and I don't think it's ever got any better. Do you?
No, it's absolute shit.
Yeah, you know? No, you're 100% right there, and they were talking I talked to a customer at the Farmington location, I was talking to him, he was a software engineer, and he said that Ford and GM got together and they were gonna do a joint venture to build a new architecture for the electronics on these cars, these systems. He said they ended up stopping at like 900 million. And so we haven't even scratched the surface. So let's just go back and cancel this and go back. Let's keep building on the old architecture. So that's where the Hummer has all its problems because they said we're going to put an EV on this architecture. We're going to add 7 or 8 more computers to the 20 that are already there. Now it's got like 28 or 29 computers trying to talk to each other, and it's a software nightmare. I mean, they're sitting at the dealer. I'm friends with the dealer tech. He's like, none of us know how to work on them. There's like 10 or 15 of them sitting there that we can't get. The engineers don't even know how to do anything with them.
Right, with no service information that's worth a damn. And harkening back to Tesla, you can go on Tesla's website and pull up their service information free of charge. It's mind blowing. It is.
You're right. And the crazy thing is, I hit a deer Sunday morning up north. I drove home. Monday morning, I typed in the VIN number to teslaparts.com. It pulled up diagrams. I picked all the parts I need. I hit ship. I pit them. The parts are sitting in my driveway today.
And see, that's what's wonderful versus, even as a shop owner, okay, I have OEC Repair Link and I have to have these logins and yada, yada, yada to access parts diagrams. And Ford Parts Online is shit if you're a consumer. Versus that, it's like your after purchase support is so much better. And
Yeah. And how can the big three not do that shit? And they're all on back order.
yeah,
That CEO talking about, I had 6,000 bays empty this morning. It's not a parts back order problem. That's bullshit. I'm waiting for headliners on transit right now. I've been waiting 2 weeks for them. It is a parts back order problem too.
hell, back, it was probably 2 years ago or so now, we had 5 liters left and right, coyotes that were consuming oil, needed long block replacement. And yeah, I mean, they were so far on back order, we had trucks sitting around for 6, 8 months. People trading them in, like, yeah, okay. Sales department finishes it up, but still, it's like parts availability is better than it was in 21, 22. Like, there's no doubt about that. But it's still not freaking great.
No, in today's technology, and I hate to keep going back to Tesla. How can these big three cannot even keep up with that? I mean,
Right.
and not to mention, like you get emails on the movement of the parts. We're loading your order. We're picking your order. I'm just impressed is why I talk about it. It's not like I'm a fanboy. I mean, I like the Tesla. It's great and everything. I never thought I'd like EVs. I still have a diesel truck and everything. But my thing is just everything is seamless. Like, oh, here's another example. You go to the dealer. You pull out your app at your house. You pick what car you need or you want to buy, you hit buy. It says, would you like to finance it? You say, yeah, you put your information in. It says pending. You get an answer. Here's your interest rate. Here's the bank. Would you like to proceed? Yes. They say, "When do you wanna pick it up?" You say, "This date." They say, "Okay." You walk in there and they say, "Sign here and sign here." And they say, "Thank you very much. The key will be on your phone. Here's your key cards," and away you go. They don't take you in the office and torture you about buying the wheel program and all that
Yeah,
shit.
put you in the box, as the dealers like to call it. Try and sell you all the warranties. And
Yeah.
going back to Tesla, when they're setting a standard that's better than everyone else, there's nothing wrong with referring to them as the standard by which all others are now being measured or should be measured. The experience is better before purchase, during purchase, and post purchase. Like, you can't really get much better than that. And serviceability, I mean, again, they're setting a standard, and I think, like you said, the big three are very far behind on what that standard could and should be. But I think there's two things that are fighting that becoming the standard. One is not very many people know about it. Yes, there's a lot of Teslas, but there's not a lot of them widespread enough. There's a lot of them by repeat purchasers, I think. I think the new consumers coming into them are the problem, and Elon can be a controversial character at best, I think, at this point. I don't really have any issues with him. I think he's a fantastic business person. I'm probably going to get flamed for saying that, but you don't go from nothing to where he sits in life by accident. But either way, he did it right. He came out and kind of entered the luxury market first, pre-sold a bunch of high-ticket shit to pay for them to actually be produced, and set himself up in a luxury market, which I think is kind of arrested what his possibilities could be on the lower margin stuff. But still, now a Tesla's $50,000, $60,000 for a regular ass car versus an F-150's $50,000, $60,000 for a regular ass work truck. And I think most people are either alienated by the fact it's an EV and don't want anything to do with that. You're not going to force that down my throat, especially like in this area. Like, EVs, you don't see them. And I personally love the simplicity of them myself. But I think that's kind of what has made Tesla lesser known as what the standard could be.
I would agree with everything you just said, and I was a hater. "Ah, there's not the infrastructure in place. There's not this, there's not that." And then I drove one for a week, and I'm like, "This
Huh.
wasn't bad," once I got rid of the battery anxiety, and then I realized the simplicity. You get in it, you hit a button, you go, you get out of it, you walk away, it locks itself. If the windows are down, it rolls the windows up. Okay, then I'm like, "Okay, well, how does the charging work?" And then me and Jason decided we're gonna go to West Memphis, Arkansas to meet a client, and I drove all the way to West Memphis, Arkansas. The software tells me when to stop and charge, where the chargers are. "Hey, you're driving too fast. You might want to slow down. If not, we'll route you to another charger." We drove 1,800 miles. It did not have one problem. What I find funny now is everybody was talking shit. Like, they had the EV summit at the White House, and they said GM was the pioneer. Well, GM and Ford right now are renting Tesla power. Now the
Mm-hmm.
standard is going to be the Tesla plug and the Tesla chargers. So it's kind of interesting. Then I thought to myself, well, I asked the other day, I looked it up, what is the market at 100% of the market? I thought, well, it would be Tesla, GM, Ford. I thought it was like Ford's number four. I was like, wow. And I think the other one, what's the one with the weird headlights and stuff? That's like number seven. It's kind
Rivian?
of a weird, yeah, Rivian. I thought they were going to be number two if you really think about it.
You would think, but there's very limited support for them. And I was looking at buying one a couple years ago when they were first coming around. I just thought they were a neat little concept. And, they share actually a lot of technology that Ford uses, and it's pretty familiar on the technical side. I'm like, okay, it's a cool little truck. But yeah, it is insane at how much different it is now than what it could have been had the right steps been taken.
No, I would agree with that totally. And look at the guys that own these diesel trucks. I mean, if you don't do the dirty D on them, they cost you a lot of money. Like I was telling my friends, I don't delete trucks and stuff like that. I never have, never got into it. I don't want the EPA up my ass. But
Bingo.
uh, it some of these trucks, you could call up a guy and go, "Hey, you pop the turbo, you need a full exhaust system and a turbo. It's going to be $23,000," and you can just hear
Hmm.
the phone drop on the other
Yeah.
side of the.
Oh, and by the way, it's back ordered. We'll have it in 3 months. Like,
Yeah,
it's ignorant. It is. And like, I could bitch about emissions on trucks all day long, but it really, on the Ford side anyway, there's three issues that we see with trucks. It's going to be emissions, it's going to be a fuel system, or the engine is kaboom. Like it's one of the three. Everything else is really rock solid on them. But that is just ugh. But like when
No,
Ford came out with their Mach-E and their Lightning, like everyone's like, "Oh, they're finally getting into EVs." But not many people are aware of like the old EV Ranger that used to be around.
no, I really wanna get into the emissions because, I mean, most people don't realize, now a lot of our customers are like, they'll call me up and go, "Hey, what truck should I buy? What engine should I buy?" I said, "Buy a gasser for now, just till we get this shit figured out because
Mhm.
it's too expensive for you to keep fixing."
Yeah. And, that's really hard around here because back in the 90s, gassers didn't have the ass they have now. They just didn't. You had to have a turbo diesel truck, but you had the 5.9 Cummins and 3 Power Stroke as the kings of the hill because we're not going to talk about that garbage Chevrolet had. Yeah, diesel was the way to go, and it was also cheaper than gasoline. But now it's like, okay, unless you really have to have that extra down low grunt of a diesel, don't freaking waste your money on it. Like, just don't buy us even the 7.3 gasser that's eating cams and lifters up. Buy that. You can replace that engine for cheaper than you can replace this fuel system, or thereabouts. Anyways.
No, you're 100% right, and it's kind of funny you say that because my motorhome had that 7.3, and it was a good motor. I ran it till 36,000, I think, and then before I sold it, I didn't have one lick of problems with it. I think I had one misfire on a trip. It was one of the little spark plug wires
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. I fixed that, but you're right, and I mean, the diesels are just not. I usually run them to about 125, my shop trucks. I have all Duramaxes. I run them to 125 and I sell them because about right there is when they start to get a little shaggy. You might have a few knock sensor problems coming up. Then the exhaust is going to go bad. It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
only a matter of time.
Just gonna nickel and dime you.
It's going
And,
to nickel and dime you, so we end up
$100 bill
selling
you.
them. Yeah. So, what about transmissions? You guys do a lot of transmission work over there?
So not as much as I would like to. That's actually one of my favorite things to do is build transmissions. And hell, the 10 speeds they paid many a mortgage payment for me. But I do majority 10R35, some 8F35 and 20Rs. But honestly, the values of the cars are just depreciating so fast. Most people aren't putting the money into these cars for major repairs like that. Like if you go buy a Ford Escape in 5 years, it's worth $8,000 or whatever. Well, to replace the transmission is $8,000, or for me to overhaul it is 7,000. So at that point, most customers are just going to go buy another car. So the 10 speeds have been the majority of it. Every once in a while, I'll get a front wheel drive 6 speed or 8 speed, but
Yeah,
that's
it's definitely changed, and I'll tell you one thing people don't take into consideration. I own a collision shop, and a lot of these vehicles are getting totaled. I wouldn't even think they're close to being totaled. But what's happening is they're worth more to Copart to buy it and part the thing out than for the insurance company to fix it. So they tell the customer, hopefully the guy has gap insurance. They don't have gap insurance. They're like, "Yep, we'll give you X amount of dollars for your car," and they just total it. Like we had a Chevy truck that it needed a core support, a grill, a couple headlights. They totaled it. We were like, "What the hell?"
right.
But it's kind of you're right. Vehicles are becoming throwaway because my son he has a 2025 Sierra 1500. He hit a rock turning into a driveway and he did like $7,000 worth of damage to it. And I mean, it was not even a hard hit. Like if that deer would have hit the front of his truck versus my Cyber truck, that would have been a $12,000 repair to put the grill, the headlights, the cameras, you know what I mean? Do the ADAS because it's got Super Cruise, the camera, blah, blah, blah.
Hmm.
And it's all plastic. So it's almost like when you unbolt everything, they're like so flimsy, they're throwaway almost.
Right. You'll okay, take a Mustang Mach-E, for example. I very simply designed car. You have two electric motors and a giant battery pack that runs along the entire length of the floor of the car. Very low center of gravity, but you have the pinch welds right here, and you have the battery right here. Well, when people have a flat tire on the side of the road, where are they going to jack up? Right here on the pinch weld. What happens when that car slips off the jack and that jack goes through the bottom of that battery? Well, now you have a $25,000 repair sitting on your hands on a car you just paid $35,000 for. Warranty doesn't cover any damages like that, and we actually ran into that at the dealership, and insurance is, yeah, no, we're not doing that. And it is just insane. The
And they
cost of
total it.
repair, yeah, it totaled it. Just the cost of repair being more than what the vehicles are worth. and moves more and more towards that throwaway society.
Yeah, amen. So let's talk about the F word. Since you worked at a dealership, let's talk about the F word everybody hates on. Everybody thinks flat rate should go away. What was your experience with flat rate? I see
I'm
when I said the F word, you're like, why are we talking about the F
Are
word?
we fucking or fighting, boy? I don't know.
But
Man, I made
that's a
good money.
controversial topic. But you sound like you know your way around a dealer for 12 years, so obviously you know something
Yeah,
about flat rate, right?
I've got some opinions on it, and
Let's hear
honestly,
them. I'm good. You're not going to offend me one way or the other. I
so
have two shops, one flat rate, one not flat. You know what I mean?
there we go. Well, I made good money on flat rate most of the time. I'm, not gonna get on here and swing my dick saying I'm the baddest motherfucker there ever was, but I made good money. And during the slow times, though, if you didn't budget well, you were like, shit, you were doing that number. So I love it for the fact that the income potential is up to you. Like it's basically being commission based. But what I hate about it is whenever you're sitting there with your thumb up your ass and nothing to do, not making any money, hmm, shit, can't go home in case something comes in the door, but you can't make any money because there's nothing to do. And that really used to piss me off. And I've been at one dealership in particular that was ungodly slow. Like you just hope to see a set of taillights somewhere. It sucked ass. I wasn't there for but like 3 months and I was gone. Now on the other side of that, you have what I personally like is hourly plus commission or hybrid system, however you want to say it. And my guy that's going full time, that's what he's going to be. So basically, my pay structure is relatively simple. You're going to get your base salary, 40 hours a week. Just say it's $40 an hour, $1,600 a week. Great. If you turn 50 flat rate hours, I will give you a $5 bump on that, plus pay you that $5 bump all the way back down. So essentially, you're making 45 an hour at that point. At least that way, it's a good enough incentive to where you're going to bust your ass. It's not like it's $100 bonus or whatever. So that's kind of my favorite. Now I've also been at a place that had a pay plan that was flat rate on steroids. So it was purely certification based and it went off a multiplier system. And for the high producers, they made a fortune. And how it essentially worked was if you were a X multiplier, so a senior master technician, and you turned 40 hours, you got paid $40 an hour. If you turned 50 hours, you got paid $50 an hour. Unlimited. There was no cap to it. There was also no floor to it. So if you only made 20 hours in a week, you were only making $20 an hour. So it literally was flat rate on steroids. I saw a lot of guys just pay their freaking cars off with one paycheck. I also saw a lot
Right.
of guys freaking starve on it. It just entirely depended. And I was at that point the shop foreman both before, during, and after that pay period or pay plan was in effect. And honestly, I wasn't a huge fan of it because it's not like technicians are breaking down doors. They're hard to find real good ones. But the really good ones did really good, and my middle of the road guys, I hated to watch them struggle on it, truly.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. My main guy, he starts out between 500 and 1,000, my vice president a week, and then
Mm-hmm.
it goes from there. I'm not going to give the number, but
Right.
his paycheck when he walks in the door, it's that amount of money plus his flat rate, right? And I give him that because he helps all the younger guys. Now I only have two other guys that are on flat rate, and then I moved another guy, so I got one other guy on hourly just because he's not ready to go on flat rate, so I'm not going to crash and burn the guy. He's
Yeah,
been learning and training and stuff, so I'm not going to. If I put him on flat rate, he would not make no money and he would quit. So I have to invest in it. The way I look at it.
absolutely.
That's the way that shop is structured. My collision shop, the kind of work we do here, my guys are hourly because
Yeah,
the insurance companies dick you around too much. These guys will make no money. Once again, I got good guys. I got to keep them right. And that's what a lot of these people cry about at the dealer. I guess you shouldn't cry. They complain. I think it's a whole lot of different things going on. Like if you're a good leader or you're a good shop foreman or you're a good shop manager, whatever it is, service advisor, and you're a good leader or you have a good set of rules, you can make your guys make money on flat rate.
absolutely.
You just don't steer the work, right? I think it's the dealerships that are giving flat rate a bad name that they don't care if a guy makes $0 or $100. It is what it is, and he's has 30 other guys he's fighting with over the work.
Yeah,
An independent shop, you can control it. You can control it in your shop. I control it in my shop. If a guy gets halfway done with a job that's a huge job and payday comes, I pay him for half the job. The
Right.
dealerships don't do shit like that. But I'm very conscientious about what my guys take home and how they make money, right? And the other thing is, my guys all are financially responsible. They go through Dave Ramsey. I'll pay. If you want to go through Dave Ramsey, you work for me, go, I'll pay. Because I always say it, it's a guy that has like a wife that's a nurse or a school teacher who's got a solid paycheck and she's smart financially. You're on flat rate. You have bad weeks or good weeks. It doesn't matter because it all averages out. You don't have the motorcycle payment, this payment. You know what I mean? At least you've seen it at the dealer. These young kids come
Oh
in, they're a
yeah.
porter. They owe Snap on $1 million. They go buy a crotch drop kit, then they can't pay their bills.
Yeah, and honestly, that just breeds discontent in the shop whenever someone's miserable at home. They're not miserable necessarily, but stressed because of just that. The bills pile up, creditors are wanting their freaking money, and they're not making the money they need to be. That is the quickest way to watch someone go from 100 down to 0. Like, it sucks to see. Now, they did it to themselves. They made their own financial decisions. But it's one of those, what are you gonna do? And that's where I think, like, paying for Dave Ramsey for your guys is phenomenal. Like, I think for most people out there, that is an excellent program to follow. Hell, I followed it when I was younger. And, now that I've gotten a little bit older and wiser, I'm okay with some types of debt. But,
Yes.
it's I don't know, it's really complicated, and especially when you go into the dealership world when you have warranty versus customer pay. And, oh my god, the old fights I used to have over that. Like, I was a prima donna sometimes, and I am happy to admit it. I would tell an advisor or service manager, "Fuck yourself, I'm not doing that. My shit does have wheels." And I was not afraid to use them. Granted, I also knew my shit and could get away with doing that, but I'm sorry if I give you a quote to do a job and it's 15 hours and then, the truck has 100,000 miles on it. Now Ford is contributing to the repair, so it's going to be a warranty repair now for warranty time. Nope, you got me fucked up. I will
Yeah,
not do
right.
it. Take it to someone else or pay me the difference.
Yeah, and a lot of times around here now in Michigan, to keep techs, they're paying customer pay times. The dealerships are eating the difference because
Which
they
is an
couldn't keep
option.
techs.
Right. And that's where all these dealerships are saying we can't find good technicians. Well, are you trying to take care of them other than outside the norm? Because you're allowed to pay customer pay times to your guys. You're allowed to do that. You're not going to get reimbursed the full amount. Your GP is going to go down, but what's the
Right,
cost
you
of
at
a good
least be able to
tech?
keep guys. No, I agree with that, and, I control what goes on in my 4 walls at my flat rate shop. I was on commission, and, another thing here, a lot of these guys don't realize if you're a business owner, you're on commission. Guess what? If you do a really good job, you can keep your shop. You could pay your bills. You could do a lot of things, right? If you do a really bad job, you're gonna go broke. You're gonna lose your house. So we're on commission too. I mean, they say, "Oh, it's stressful being a flat rate mechanic." I would agree with that. I didn't.
Hmm.
I can remember times when I was on commission. That's how old I was. Flat rate wasn't a thing. It was commission. But the emotions of being a business owner almost run side by side with being a flat rate tech. Okay, how do you think your boss feels in an independent shop when you have 5 guys sitting there, 5 families to take care of, and it's slow?
Yeah.
And the flat rate guys are out there not making money, but the shop owner's looking at it going, well, I have nothing coming in. And everybody just thinks most shop owners have huge piles of money sitting around. Some of them do, some of them don't, right? The smarter guys know their numbers and they put money in their savings account every week. The dumb guys go and buy boats and all kinds of crazy shit that they really can't afford. They just think they can. And then, they get a couple bad weeks and all of a sudden the place is on fire because they have nothing to do. You know what I mean? They have no money.
Right.
It's kind of crazy. I've seen that a lot.
And that's what kills me. Like, you look at, statistics of businesses that are started versus fail, and it's really discouraging until you look at, the financial decisions that were made by the average person who's starting a business. When the first time I have $50,000 sitting in the bank, I'm like, "Ooh, I'm hot shit. Let me go buy a new whatever. Let me twin turbo my truck or some dumb shit." And then you think about it, and it's like, okay, well, next month may not do this. Let me make sure my house is taken care of here before I use any of that excess. And if the business can't float my personal life, because it has to, I mean, I draw my paycheck from the business. If it can't pay for itself and my life, then, well, I got to raise rates. Next thing you know, you price yourself out of the market. And that seems to be the trend that I see with automotive shop repair failure. Truly.
Yeah, they don't really know how to price their stuff, so they just keep you're 100% right. I've seen it where the guy has such a lavish lifestyle, he keeps raising and raising and raising to the point where he puts himself out of business because nobody comes to him. No,
Mhm.
I agree with that, and then not only does he put himself out of business, he's so expensive, he doesn't pay anybody. So he has a bunch of shit help,
Yep.
and he takes all the money out of it, and all the customers go away. I've seen that several times in my area. There's a couple shops that the one shop in my area that I started at, he's across the street down the road. He sold a couple years ago. That's always been a solid shop. There's another shop. There's 3 shops around us that are solid. The rest of them, I wouldn't send them a freaking tricycle,
Yeah.
you know?
And unfortunately, I think that's true of most demographics is that there's one or two really good, well-known shops that are well managed, and that's where it starts is being well managed. And most technicians don't look at, managers as anything more than a waste of a paycheck. But what goes on behind the scenes to make sure that you as a technician get paid and you as an advisor have the tools to do your job and do it well, like that's beyond valuable. And it just is so easy to have that one missing piece, and it's just a shit show, literally, and a shit shop.
No, I agree. And my problems that I'm running into is, I started working at the one shop I own. The guy owned it was Arnold Garrett, and his son Steve worked there with him, and I became friends with Steve. And Arnold retired. Steve bought the place from his dad, and I bought into that, and we ran it and grew it. I do a lot of different stuff. I mean, I do all the way from pickup trucks all the way to heavies, trailers, lift gates, hydraulics, blah blah blah. And then in my other location, we do collision, box truck, blah, blah, blah. So there's a lot of knowledge that I have that I think that when I retire someday, if I don't, my number 2 guy, he's pretty good at what I do, but he still doesn't do all the things I do. I think stuff is falling off. Like, for instance, we used to cut trucks in half and lengthen them and shorten them, right?
Mhm.
That was something I hated, and there wasn't just not enough money in it for me to do it. So when Steve retired and went away, I stopped cutting and lengthening trucks, shortening and lengthening trucks. And I think what's happening with these shops is we're going through the older gentlemen, the older techs are going away. Some of the stuff we would do, like putting dumps on trucks and stuff like that, is kind of going away. So I think that our industry is definitely in trouble, but I don't want to ever be one of them guys that's on TikTok that everything is gloom and doom about our business. Because let's face it, I've had a good life and I've made a lot of money in this business. As of all business owners that are in this business now, as long as you take care of your people and you're not just cashing out and abusing people, have a good life. It's not that bad. It's stressful. Don't get me wrong, but can't be any more stressful than being a doctor and have somebody's heart all over the freaking table and trying to get them to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%, and it starts with having good technicians, truly. Like, if you don't have good quality work getting turned out, doesn't matter how good your advisor is at selling, it doesn't matter how good your manager is at managing, if it's shit work, it's shit work. But good talent up front, good talent on the back end attracts good technicians, especially with an owner that's willing to, grow their guys both in both pay and their education and skill set.
Yeah. Yesterday's podcast we taped is not out till next week. It was with the guy who's managed our retirement program for both shops for all the employees. And one of my things I wanted to talk about is like these people that sit there and say, they complain about flat rate and they complain about this and they complain about that. I'm like, okay, do you guys get retirement? Do these shop owners give you retirement? Like, are they keeping it all for themselves? Like, my thought is, how much does it really cost me a year to contribute to a retirement program for my guys? So when they retire someday, they can walk out of there and they don't have to eat cat food because we all know Social Security is shit.
Yep.
So, if they invest, we match what they invest up to 3%. We have a simple IRA and we did a whole big thing on that yesterday. What I want to try to do in this industry is like educate people how to take care of their employees. So, and it starts with knowing your numbers, as you said at the very beginning. If you would have started your business without going to them classes, you sound like a sharp guy. You knew, okay, I don't know how to do an estimate and how to, proper margins and stuff. So I'm going to go take a class. How many guys
Yep.
don't do that and they say, shit, I could do this. How hard is it?
Yep.
And they go and
And
they undervalue
they
themselves.
really do. Like, even for me, after taking those classes, I come back and I do a lot of self-reflecting on it and thinking. And, I started paying more attention to what was actually happening at work on the number side. And I'm like, okay, it makes more sense now. Granted, dealership has much higher overhead. So I get their margins have to be thicker. to cover that. But on my side, I'm like, all right, as I'm sitting here and I'm pricing out, a set of brake pads that I'm paying $50 for. It's like I can't sell that for $60 and make money. That I can't keep the doors open. And in my head, as I did side work, it was always, well, I'm just going and picking them up. Well, now I'm not just getting them or having them delivered. I'm also having to cover future warranty costs, possibly cover the cost if I fuck something up. Because at the end of the day, if there's no money to pay for something I fuck up, well, then I'm doing a disservice to everybody involved. So yes, there's a markup there, and $50 set of brake pads that I'm charging you $95 for. Yep, I surely am. You can go buy them just the same as I can. But what you get out of that, there's value built into having me do it alongside just getting the part. And that was
No,
hard
I
for me to
agree.
wrap my head around.
No, and here's another thing that this post I did months ago about if you're a shop owner and you let people bring their own parts, you're a dumbass shop owner. I truly believe that. And there's a guy in there yesterday night that said, well, there's this guy so and so. He's the best tech I ever seen on YouTube, or he's the best tech on YouTube. I said, he's not the best businessman if he lets people bring their own parts.
Yep.
You cannot run a repair shop on labor profit only.
No.
You just cannot do it.
No, because no one's going to pay $400 an hour. I mean, when you think about
Right.
it like that, it's like, okay, to make the overhead, if you were to just say it costs $20,000 a month to keep the doors open, people think, oh, well, one fuel system and then a couple other little jobs pays that. No, bitch, that's revenue, not profit. It takes $20,000 of profit to pay that $20,000. And people
Yeah.
just don't understand that side of it.
No, you're 100% right. It's like, okay, we all know we don't want to do a freaking DPS SCR systems on trucks or anything like that because there's like a 25% markup. We much rather go do brakes and shit like that. So,
Hmm.
like that $25,000 exhaust system, oh, you're getting rich. No, actually, I don't want to do it because the liability on that whole exhaust system is horrible.
Yeah, it
And the dealer's not going
sucks.
to back me up if it takes a shit. They're going to say, I did something wrong and I'm going to be eating an $8,000 exhaust system.
Yep.
And that's what people don't understand.
And that's where, like, I appreciate what you're doing because it benefits me just like it does every other shop owner out there. Making as many people aware of this as possible to where it's like you're not relying on the individual shops to sell the value of what we provide as an industry, let alone individually.
No, you're right. And there's a lot of people I didn't really see a lot of people on TikTok before I started this, talking about the numbers in depth and, the struggles in the shop, You get haters no matter what you say. You could say you cured cancer like Trump said, and they're like, they still give you a hard time. It doesn't matter. But, my thing is I'm speaking from the corner of experience. I've been doing this for a long time and I've screwed up a lot of shit before I started making money, you know? So do I run my shops absolutely perfect? No, I have problems just like everybody else. You know what I mean? If we sat here on this podcast and go, shit, I don't have a problem. Do you have any problems? No, never. I never screw anything up. Yeah, we'd be liars, right?
100%.
You know, today's screw up was we were welding a windshield frame on a transit and the welding blanket slipped down a little bit and melted the freaking dashboard. Call
Damn.
Ford, how bad can this be? $3,000 dashboard.
Hmm.
And then it's going to take the guy 10 hours to do it.
Oh,
What do you
well,
do?
cost of doing business.
Cost of doing business, you fix it and get on with it, And the other thing is, here's one that people talk about credit card fees. They're like, well, most people don't talk about it. It's a write off. Yeah, but if you spend $40,000 a year on credit card fees, you don't get $40,000 back. You get 20% of that back. So the rest of the money goes to the credit card. It's not a right. People think write offs are like a one for one. It's not
Yeah,
that way.
no, no, you're getting a discount. You're not getting it all.
Yeah. And, the thing about it is, the problem I have with it, and probably you guys, you're doing them $12,000 fuel systems and you have your margin right where it should be. And here comes Joe Blow with American Express.
Hmm.
That's, 3.67% off of your freaking bill. You're like, man, that's like $600, $700 off. I
Yep.
can't do this. So you have to charge a credit card fee. Then the guy gets mad at you like, hey, bud, go to the bank and get me a cashier's check. You won't have
Bingo.
to pay. But I heard a lot of shop owners are like, I just raised my labor rate 3% for everybody. So wait a second. Everybody gets to pay because one guy uses a credit card. Why don't you just do it situational? If they use a credit card, charge 3%. If they pay cash, no charge. And what that did for us, a lot of people bring certified checks if they have the money.
Right.
and we don't have to pay the credit card fees. Because as a business owner, is it not miserable when you think you're really good till the credit card bank fees come out of your bank account that month? It's like, holy shit.
Well, mine, I have them automatically taken out, so my payment system is I do every last bit of it through Techmetric. So any payment that comes through Techmetric takes a little piece out of the pie, and so does, well, Techmetric takes the entire fee for the processing of the transaction. The processor gets a portion of it, Techmetric keeps a portion of it, which is fine, but it comes out in increments, and I don't have to see that giant number hit. I just pull the
Yeah.
report at the end of the month to be like, well, I never saw the money anyway, so we're good.
Yeah, it's kinda crazy. It really is. So, well, it was good having you on, and, I'd like to you think about you ever wanna get back on the future, wanna talk about any topic, I'm open to it because this was good. Because I don't really ever talk technical stuff like we did at the beginning. I've always talked about the numbers, and people just think I'm a blowhard, but I've been in tech for a long time.
Yeah, no,
So
I enjoyed it. It was a good time, and I've never done a podcast before, so hell,
no, sweet. Alright, well, anything else you wanna say, or are you good?
no, buddy, I'm good. I had a good time, and I'm happy to be on again whenever.
Yeah, absolutely. So think about some topics, think about some stories, and we'll have you on again, do a part 2.
Sounds good, Mr. Kevin.
Alright, take care. Thanks for being on.
Yes, sir. Thank you. We look forward to it.
Take care.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.